Hello everyone, I'm Michelle Smith and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then welcome. I'm so happy you found me. I have a Dollar Tree product review for you today. Now the last time I went to Dollar Tree, I found these really interesting pen stylos. They are a glass pen and ink set. They are made by Jot. They come in 3 different colors that I could find. I found green, pink, and blue. Now that doesn't make any difference to the pen. That just tells you what type of ink or what color ink comes with your pen. Any single pen, you can use whatever color you want. So you can always buy sets of ink elsewhere. And I did look online to see comparison as to how much these cost. You can get a set of 6 for about $13, or you can get a set pen, ink, for about $10. If you want just a pen, they run anywhere from about $6.50 up to about $20, depending on how fancy your glass pen is. Now these pens are used when you dip them into ink. I find them very interesting. The heads here have a very interesting grooves that swirl around. Now those little grooves are what hold the ink. If you're looking for them, this is the packaging that they look like in the store, and I found them over in the stationery or office supplies. Now, I did play with these for a little bit before this because I wanted to make sure that they worked, and they do work. I did run into a few little issues. They are definitely different than your standard pen and ink. Now I have a little bit of water here so I can clean my pen. Now I've used the blue and the pink. I have not used the green one, so I'm just going to rinse this off. Sometimes there's a little bit of a film left when they manufacture the pens. So you can either wash it in light soapy water, rinse it really well, or just wipe it off. You just want to make sure any dust or particles that might still be there from the manufacturing process is gone. The other thing that I noticed with these is if you're used to using the standard pen and ink set, that you can't really vary your line by pressing a little harder. Your lines stay pretty thin with these, so if that doesn't bother you, then you're good. I pulled out several different types of paper here to try it on. This first one here is just copy paper. Now I'm very, very lightly pressing down, and a lot of ink is coming out. I'm getting some running, especially here when I first laid it down. And I didn't dip this all the way in. I could have loaded even more ink in there. But the one thing that I did notice with this is that you can draw for a good amount of time before you completely run out of ink. The other interesting part about the glass pens is depending on where you're sitting on that tip will depend on how well it writes. Now see, each time I'm doing this, I'm changing the position of the pen. So I'm also using the ink in different areas around the pen. Now you can load quite a bit on there. This tip is rather large. And I just tap it on the side to release any excess. Because if there's too much, you get a lot of leaking, and then you get a lot of running in your words. Yeah, barely putting it down, a lot of ink comes out. I am getting a little bit of variation from my line depending on which angle it is. If you tend to be a little heavy-handed when you draw, you need to be careful when using a glass pen. You could possibly break the tip or tear your paper if you're too heavy-handed. Okay, then to clean these, just run them in some water. And I found even after letting them sit, especially with the ink that comes with them, they still clean up really easy and very quickly just by running them under water. Now, another thing that I noticed is that each of the tips on these are different. So they're not manufactured in a cookie cutter type thing. This one's a little thinner and longer. This one's a little bit wider, especially at the tip. And this one has a little bit more grooves than the others. One thing I do have to say is I'm pleased with the ink that comes with it. The colors are quite bright. Okay, so that was just standard copy paper. Let's try some resume paper, and I'm going to switch colors now. So this is the pink. This color is gorgeous. It is very, very pretty and quite bright for a pink. This one actually draws better than the green one. So each of them have their own personality, but they do write nice and smooth. And you can see I'm going pretty far here on one dip. So that is definitely a positive aspect about using a glass pen compared to your standard ink pen, is that you can keep going for quite a long time with just one dip. But look at how beautiful that is. Such a bright and vibrant pink. Now you can see I got some bleeding there. Let me try it with the pink. See if it's the paper. Yeah, a little bit more bleeding on the copy paper than on the resume paper. Okay. Because this is just a little bit heavier than this. Okay. Now let me try the blue, and we'll go to an even heavier paper. Okay, so this is some cardstock. I wanted to see how it would react to the different weights of paper. I would say the heavier the paper, the smoother and the cleaner lines that you get. And it also depends on the pen. This one writes much better than the green. Let me try the green on the heavier paper and see how that works. Definitely heavier paper you get a better, cleaner line with. I like that. So each pen, because it is slightly made different, some will work a little bit better than others. So you need to find one that suits you. But I have to say, for $1.25, this is well worth the price. I really do like that it just holds on to so much ink. Using the standard inkwell and pen, you dip all the time. This I can go probably 3 or 4 times as long. So that's really nice. Definitely like that. Okay, and then the final paper that I pulled out is some watercolor paper. A lot of artists like to use the glass pen, and what they normally will do is go through and they will line out whatever image that they want to do, and then they can follow it by filling in with watercolors. It's called a line and wash, and it is absolutely beautiful. You put in all your detail with your pen and ink, and then once it dries, you can go back in and follow up with your watercolors. But yes, getting a little bit of bleeding there with the watercolor paper. Yeah, you can just keep going. I like that. So I would say that I'm very pleased with the glass pen that I found at Dollar Tree. They are made by Jot, which is a Dollar Tree brand. And I think it's well worth the money. I like the ink that comes with it. It is definitely a little different than using your standard ink pen, but I think it looks rather fancy, and you know, us artists, we absolutely love all the fun gadgets. So for $1.25, it's definitely worth picking one up and checking them out. Out of my paper choices, I would have to say the cardstock would be my first choice when using the glass pen. I got the least amount of bleeding, and my lines were nice and clean and dark. Thank you so much for stopping by and taking a look at my review on the new glass pen that you can pick up at Dollar Tree. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.